It's Deb. Just making sure everything's looking all good. Hey, Hoshi, how you doing? Good afternoon. Alright. Get my notes. Got notes, some mental notes, but I do have a decent amount written down. So this will be fun. Alrighty. So far so good. Just kind of waiting for people to start showing up. Kind of did some more editing on my Dark and Moon video, which is, going on pretty good at least. So there's that. Welcome, people, to Sea Monster Live, episode 70. We are at the big 7-0 today on 7-11 day. um, doing good. And yeah, so last week I covered, discussed a bit about Independence Day, 1996, to commemorate its 30-year anniversary on the 4th of July of all days. I know. So I figured, you know what? Why don't we just, since I happen to have 2 Saturdays off in a row, why don't I schedule this stream on 7/11, July 11th, talking about the other Independence Day movie, Independence Day Resurgence, in case anybody's wondering. um, but yeah, so I guess I'll just provide a little bit of a funny little backstory here about when I first saw the movie. Um, so, so like on 7/11, like, because this was actually 10 years. It was actually 10 years ago since I even saw the movie. Like this day, like it's crazy. But so so I pretty much went to see it. My mother wanted to see it as well because she liked the first Independence Day. So we went to see it. The funny thing is like when we went to see Independence Day Resurgence, like it was like a bit of a line there, but it was like probably for hope some other movies that came out. Because let's be frank, Independence Day Resurgence wasn't really a huge box office hit, quite frankly. So, but when we got up to the stand to start to get admitted to the movie to get our tickets, like at the Regal, their system like went down or something was like wrong with their system, so they weren't really able to get anything processed. I can't really remember what the specific details, but they had a lot of technical difficulties, and we were already like the previews for the movie would have been going by this point, and it was just like shit. We don't really want to be late for this. Like, and really hope they could get this fixed, and then. But then at some point, since it was like getting pretty close to when the previews would be ending and when the movie would actually start, it's like we're gonna be late for this if they don't get this sorted out. And so the it's like the people there, the Regal people, were actually like, you know what, this one's up. Have this one on us essentially, so we can kind of like get things moving along here. Um, so basically, if anyone asks me like, have you seen a Roland Emmerich movie in theaters? I'd say, yeah, I did. But here's the thing: Roland Emmerich has not seen a fucking dime from me. From seeing Independence Day 2, technically speaking. So yeah, that's a funny story there. Now, here's the thing, like when I first saw the movie, I kind of liked it. I enjoyed it, but I definitely found it to be somewhat inferior to the first movie. Um I can't really imagine what I would have thought of the movie. Now, granted, maybe it's because like since I kind of saw it for free in theaters, like so maybe that might have lent into my initial thoughts on that movie being like a bit more positive than they would be now. Um, but but there is that. Like, yeah, it's just kind of strange how that as something like that turned out. Um, to be quite honest. So, like, I don't know if I would have been much harsher towards the movie if I actually did pay more money for it or not. I don't know. Like, I think, like, back in that day, I was pretty lenient towards movies. If I'm being honest, like that, like it was actually just a bit before, like a little, like a couple years before I started to get a bit more like fall into this sort of realm of looking at media and stuff a bit more objectively speaking, essentially, and reviewing them on that basis. At least more so than rather than just like relying like, hey, what did I had fun with the movie? Did I enjoy it or anything like that? How was my theatrical experience or anything like blah blah blah. Um. So yeah, yeah, yep, yep. Yeah, I noticed. Gandhi '05. Yep. Um. I'm pretty much working that night, so I probably won't be able to catch it, or depending on what time. I have a shift at that closing shift that day, so I won't be able to. Pretty much won't be able to catch it live. But we get someone who's catching this something live. Here we got Mr. Hoshi here.
Hey man, how you doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
Nothing special much. Today, if you wonder, I still haven't watched this movie, and I don't know what we'll say about it, but I don't know. I'm hoping that it's at least I don't know. I'm hoping that you at least enjoyed it.
Well, the thing is, like, I've seen the movie before, like the first Independence Day. So it's kind of like, so I already have some history with this movie, much like I do with the first film. Um, and basically, and honestly, I'll even just like, yeah, got a neat comment there. Like, ID4 Resurgence is basically Pacific Rim Uprising of Roland, or I'm presuming that you mean it's like Roland Emmerich's equivalent of Pacific Rim Uprising. Yeah. Okay. um,
Probably.
here's the thing, like upon this recent rewatch of this movie to prep for the stream and also to because funnily, like the movie turned 10 this year as well as the first movie turning 30. So,
I'm going old, man.
hmm?
I'm getting old, man.
Yeah, aren't we all? Um, so upon this just recent watch through of Resurgence, I was kind of stunned by how much less I actually enjoyed this movie. From
Yep.
not just like in terms of like looking at like how it holds up objectively, because I mean, like, let's be frank here. Like from an objective standpoint, this movie is honestly fucking dog shit. Like the script
Yep.
is really terrible. But even just from an entertainment standpoint, like like even a movie like movies like the Wingard Monsterverse movies, I can at least like say that I like kind of enjoy them on a personal on a subjective level. Like I do, like I find them to be fun, even if the scripts are terrible.
Same way with the Bayverse.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'd still say the first. Me. I would argue the first and third movies aren't terrible from a writing standpoint. There's some tismy stuff in them, but they're not terrible. Um, the other movies, yeah, I mean, that's for another that's a different discussion.
Yep.
But yeah, even just from personally speaking, like the Independence Day Resurgence, just like there was so much about it that not only reminded me of Pacific Rim Uprising in a lot of ways, but it really reminded me a lot of someone's car alarms going off in the back. I don't know what's going on there. Um, but the the thing that really struck me about this movie is like, let's just put it this way. This is actually one of my notes, and I'll pretty much even started with this. The film really does play out like it is supposed to, like it's like the Force Awakens for the first Independence Day, essentially.
Exactly.
Where where it rehashes the plot of the original, except where it's like, hey, let's make it bigger and let's like have like a whole bunch of teases for a whole bunch of other movies that may or may not happen, and with characters that aren't as good as the legacy characters, and the legacy characters that do come back in this are either flanderized versions of themselves, or are character assassinated, or in the case of Will Smith's case in Independence Day, is it completely absent when their presence would have, would have helped the, probably could have helped the film, maybe, or even just a little, even just a tiny bit, it could
Mm-hmm.
have helped. Um,
Yep.
and that's the thing. Like, here's the funny thing. Like, it's funny how, like, looking back at like that climate of going on, where people, like, at the time when Resurgence would have came out, I imagine that the sentiment would have been like, wow, this is like, because that during that time, it was still at that point where where the attitude towards the Force Awakens or Disney Star Wars in general, but in it specifically in this case, TF the Force Awakens was a lot more positive, because it was obviously before the other sequel trilogy movies came out. So like when this movie, when Independence Day 2 came out, I imagine like that sentiment would have been like, it's like, wow, this is like what the Force Awakens would have been if it was bad. But now, you flash forward to 10 years later, how times have changed. Where now I think it's pretty much, it's much less that now and more that Independence Day is pretty much what the Force Awakens had always been the whole time. It's just that it's a lot more. I guess you could say Resurgence is a much more nakedly obvious about about its issues essentially than the Force
Yeah.
Awakens.
The thing about this movie, Resurgence, is the fact that they didn't even bother with the writing, and if anything, they weren't even subtle about it. You know.
No, they really weren't. Yeah, what a lot of the things about this movie is essentially, it really is just like, let's do the first movie again, but make it bigger, and let's just set up the possibility of it being like the next Star Wars potentially, because they're
Or as some people call it, Star Trek meets a natural disaster. You know.
yeah, something like, it's something like that, because you have like another alien show up that's trying to sort of like negotiate with them a bit. And I would just say, if I want to, I know you pretty much asked me. I mean, I never remember that you asked me what I thought of like the Alien Queen, the Harvester Alien Queen's
Yep.
design from this movie last week. So I guess I figured I'd now go ahead and answer that essentially. Here's the thing: if it wasn't for her exosuit, which even then, like, it's like, okay, yeah, it's recognizable as like the Independence Day alien exosuit, essentially. Even though I'd still say like it's just kind of too much, if I'm being honest. Like, they're trying way too hard to make her like the Xenomorph Queen equivalent for the ID4 aliens with that
So they
design.
basically
But
took the homework and basically didn't even bother making it original.
no, exactly. Like, functionally speaking, you pretty much have that. But even without the exosuit, like when you actually have the queen herself, the Harvester Queen was designed by Jared Kirchevsky.
Yeah. Wait, isn't that the same dude that made the creature designs for like the new Empire?
I think so. Yeah, yeah. I remember. Yeah, I know that name. Yeah, yeah. Actually, yes. Yeah.
Oh
It's
my God! It's all
that's
going full circle.
it's. Oh man. Um, But here's the funny thing about this, Hoshi. When you get like when you have the alien queen without her suit, I kid you not, like I honestly would not fault anybody for mistaking her for being like a character from like Halo, for instance. And there's like, and it's because of one thing that's going on with her design. One thing. Can you take a guess what that is?
I don't know, probably because of her big ass forehead.
No, well, here's the thing: the regular aliens, like the drones, if you were to refer to them in that terminology, also have that. But no, it's the fact that she has a mouth.
Oh, oh yeah, I can see it now. I am now scrolling on like Google right now. Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, like, and that just takes away so like by giving the alien queen a mouth, it essentially just robs what could have it robs whatever like uniqueness, what have you, that she could have had. Um, because the regular aliens in the original, and they're even kind of carried over into this film somewhat, is the fact that the aliens don't have mouths, hence why they have to use telepathic communicate telepathically, or to use essentially like people to wrap their tentacles around people's throats and use their sort of like vocals to speak through them. Which we see in this film with with Thomas Whitmore, Bill
Yeah,
Pullman. It's like, hey, remember the first movie?
yeah.
But yeah, like the fact that she has a mouth here, it's like, what? Why did you do that? Like, why couldn't like the aliens were so expressive in the original without needing mouths, because you have like just their eyes. Like that's the thing. Like you don't need to have a mouth. You just have to be very expressive, essentially in other ways. Um, but by giving her
Yeah.
a mouth, it's like I just don't like it. It makes her look very generic, shockingly enough.
Really? Because I always imagined that they want to sort of make her eat someone, so to show that she can be more animalistic.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. It just well, it's like if you're gonna give her like I mean, if you were to give her a mouth, at least have it for a purpose. Otherwise, you're just gonna take away otherwise you just like make it seem like she's a different species of
Oh
alien
yeah.
compared to the others.
Okay
Um
then.
yeah, that's kind of my issue. Like I mean, yeah, she's got the exosuit, which okay, at least it's kind of looks like the other exosuits from in this in this movie, but also from the first movie. But except it's just bigger, and maybe it's a little bit more colorful because she got like some blue streaks going on, and she also has like extra tentacles and like sort of like spider legs, somewhat. It's a
So
little weird, but
basically, she's a deviant art creation.
I mean, a little bit, yeah, kind of. Um, so yeah,
So,
not much of a fan of the Alien Queen's design.
oh yeah,
But the only thing that's worse than that is essentially how she sort of functions when she's actually in action. When the movie decides to become a kaiju film at the end. But we'll get to
oh
that in a
yeah.
bit.
One more thing I forgot to ask you this is, I really find it incredibly jarring that this alien queen, this creature that's bigger than a bus, like it's gigantic, and yet it uses a weapon, which just feels so weird in my opinion.
It really is yeah, that is kind of weird. I guess.
If anything,
That's probably
I would much rather prefer if she were having like some sort of psychokinesis or telekinetic type of abilities. So it makes her feel more alien-like instead of using generic things like weapons.
yeah, like just a larger gun that her foot soldiers already kind of use. Yeah, I mean I
Yeah,
get that. I mean, but if just so that I mean that on its own is probably like would be the least of my issues with that whole sequence. But we'll get to that in a bit. Um, I find it hilarious that like the movie literally begins like with a set where we kind of like see like, oh, we got the the alien queen getting the distress signal from that mothership in the first movie getting destroyed and that whole operation getting destroyed, and she sees like the footage from the original Independence Day of President Whitmore's iconic speech, like as if the aliens somehow got that footage and transferred it to their home base somehow. Like, where did they get this? How did they get that? That makes it really is just like, hey guys, remember the first Independence Day? Like, oh, it doesn't matter whether or not it makes sense for how the aliens could have got that sort of visual, but like, just do you remember the original?
Oh yeah,
It's so jarring. Um,
and
and oh
on top
yeah,
of the fact that they could almost entirely rip off Troopers during one of the action sequences.
hmm. Um, which way exactly? Just because it's been years since I've watched Starship Troopers.
It's probably during the aerial, fight, your aerial dark fights, type of scene.
Okay. Hmm. Yeah, I have to watch Starship Troopers again in the future just to get a refresher on that.
Okay, we can go back on the topic.
Yeah, yeah. The Vic says, but it's cool. Like that, you can't just that's not a good enough excuse. It has to make sense. It can be you can have something that's cool but also makes sense. This doesn't make sense, and to be honest, it's not even that cool. It's just, hey, reference.
Okay then.
uh, but,
Yeah.
let me just
So
say, like, I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just originally going to talk about the other type of dumb introduction to this movie, and that's the sphere. But we can talk about the characters now.
Yeah, I was gonna get into that, which the funny thing about this is, like, it's an ensemble cast, like much like the first movie, except in this case, there's so fucking many of them, and a good chunk of them could have been cut out of the movie significantly.
Honestly
Um,
speaking, I genuinely think that Umburu is probably my favorite character. That's just my opinion, but I think he's probably the best character.
oh, the
He's a guy.
Warlord.
Yeah, he's honestly speaking my favorite character in the movie.
Hmm.
It's unpopular opinion, but that's all I had to say.
I mean, like, there's a little more going on with him than a lot of the other characters in this. I'll give you that. I'll say that much. Like, let's just say, like, that school, like all those kids that David Levinson's dad like stumbles upon. Not just like in the car, but also like the school bus of kids that he like accompanies. During their like journey to Area 51. It's like they show up so late in the movie and they don't do a goddamn thing except just to fill up the screen. Just, I guess, to just fill up the screen with more characters, essentially, just
And
because.
critics say that the kids in the Jurassic movies are terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like, like there isn't even a story being done with them, or like if there was, or it's like, oh, hey, maybe we were going to see more of them in the next movie. That's where the real story begins. Shut up. Like, you should
Oh
have
yeah,
told a story
remember
with them in
how
this movie.
I remember the fact that Roland Emmerich said that this was apparently going to be like a part one to like a two-part story.
I think it was meant to be like they were supposed to. I think it was meant to be that this was supposed to kick off two more movies. Like, this was supposed to be a sequel trilogy.
Oh
Like, knowing
wow.
them, like
Okay
this
then.
would, yeah. Like, apparently, like ID for Independence Day Forever Part One and Independence Day Part Two. I'm not. I can't say with full confidence that that was what was going on, but I did watch Pointless Hub. I've watched Pointless Hubs of it on the Independence Day movies, and I think something that he did show something come up about that.
Oh yeah.
That was a plan.
Okay then. So are we gonna discuss about the characters?
Yeah, we're getting into, yeah. Oh yeah, we're talking about them. Um, which, I mean, like, the most of the characters that you could say, I mean, aside from the warlord, who kind of like, like I guess like, oh, he had a family who was killed by aliens, and that's why he's like, which I guess
Specifically, his brother or some sorts.
his brother, yeah. Yeah, so it's like okay, that's something pretty much, but it's just kind of, but even then, it's like it's kind of like the bare minimum essentially if I get right down to it. But it's like at least conceptually, it's neat. Like having like a bunch of like pretty much having like some backstory where yeah, like even after like the ships came down, there may have been like there could have been like some aliens that survived like the crash, and and we're just like humanity has to, like sweep it up essentially, including but not limited to tracking down like any of the alien survivors and either imprison them or kill them, if they put up a fight. And so there's some neat stuff going on that front, but it's all just kind of backstory really, like it just doesn't, and the movie doesn't really do a whole heck of a lot with it beyond that.
Okay then.
um but as far as like the only characters that you could say like much about are like some of the legacy characters really, because like you got Liam Hemsworth's character who is just pilot dude, um, who has a
You mean
girlfriend
Jake
who's
Morrison?
yeah,
Jake
I'm never
Morrison. That's the
yeah no I mean yeah, but that's here's the thing, I'm not going to remember his name like like I barely remember that name essentially, like I'm not going to remember like most of these new characters the new characters in this movie, like I'm not going to remember like any of their names at like tomorrow. Let's be like I don't even remember them now. Essentially,
You're
like
gonna
I
remember their thumbs. That's all you'll remember.
hmm?
You'll remember their thumbs, and they'll be named Pinky Toeses.
Oh, uh, I'm not even entirely sure who that what that's a reference to, but
Anyway,
but yeah, you got like yeah, he's pilot dude essentially, and he's got like he got his girlfriend, well, fiance, who is essentially Whitmore's daughter, who this time is played by Micah Monroe, who is the who was the lead actress from It Follows.
and she
So
also was the actress in the movie Guess, which Alan Winger also directed.
nice. Um, I mean, like there's at least a little more to say about her, but that's just because like it's mainly just because she's supposedly the daughter of a legacy character, and it's like, all right, she's a pilot like her dad. Like, I mean, I guess that kind of that would kind of track that she would be that since her dad was essentially a hero, like such a hero that she would want to be a pilot. But it's funny that like will that Captain Hiller's son, or is it son or stepson actually? I'm trying to remember.
It's his son. Dylan is the son of Will Smith's character.
Okay, 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 yeah. So yeah, so like biological son then. All right, I could be
Yep.
wrong. I'm always just kind of like wondered. It's like, wait, who? Okay, yeah, I'm trying to see it. Yeah, I want to verify this real quick, just to be safe. Just to be safe. But yeah, it's funny that how they both the daughter of the president and the son of Captain Hiller, they both end up becoming pilots. Which I mean, like it's not that it doesn't make sense for that to happen. It's just kind of weird that is just sort of like how what both of them would want to do essentially, when one of them would be a lot more granted it would be like a lot more like in the how do I put this, like in the political or diplomatic spectrum side of things, I suppose, or something like that, which you know Whitmore's daughter seems to be like that, like working with the president in this movie. But
Yeah. Yeah.
and of course you have like the whole thing of, oh, Liam Hemsworth and um and
AKA the Shredder, but not really.
Right, and you got Liam Hemsworth and Jesse T. Usher. You know, they're they have a rivalry essentially, kind of. Yeah, and of course we're gonna go and get that. We're gonna avenge your mother, Vivica A. Fox, after she falls down, falls to her death during some chaos, some destruction. Um, even though Jesse T. Usher is couldn't have sounded any more wooden about his whole thing of mom no.
Okay.
It's oh god, yeah, that's pretty bad. Okay, so I'm actually looking at this. So apparently, okay, all right. So I'm actually just kind of going over just like seeing like if Dylan is actually like the son or stepson of Will Smith's character. Actually, it turns out that he is. Let me see if I get it here. Come on. Actually, no. No. Will Smith is Dylan's stepfather.
Oh yeah,
Vivic-
now I see.
yeah, no, he's not his biological dad, but he is, but more stepdad. Um, so that's kind of a, oh, yeah, all right. So yeah, I was kind of wondered. There was like, what it's like. I know it's like I'm pretty sure he's not his biological dad, but I could be wrong. So I just want to make sure. It's like, well, fair enough. But yeah, all right. So all right. So got that clarified out of the way. Yeah, and yeah, like that rivalry just kind of like it's like one of those things where the movie is trying to retread the first movie about how we set aside our differences for like a common goal, essentially. Except the first movie put in so much effort, like a lot more effort to really to realize that thematic about how the worst of times can bring out the best in people, and where people's potential can be realized at their peak during such a time, like David Levinson kind of like, and I'm talking about talking about the first movie a little bit of like David Levinson being a brilliant guy who, a really smart, brilliant man whose potential was never really gotten the chance to be realized, and so you get this invasion happening, and that gets puts him to the test, and with some helpful words from his dad, even, and some inspiration, like he's able to essentially crack the code and take it down the aliens, and his potential is fully realized. President Whitmore had the potential to be a great leader that was never fully realized until the aliens came down, and he had to step up to become like the best leader he possibly could, and he was able to more than prove that. Um,
Okay.
even Hitler, it's like Hitler is like a lot, like obviously, like he was we always his potential of being like a great pilot was always shown, but he also had aspirations to want to go up into space to be part of NASA, and so you have like that payoff where he does finally be able to go up into space and do something that almost anybody on planet, that is like a once per lifetime opportunity, but it's to save the world essentially. So he's not only doing something really amazing by just going up into space, but he's also like, doing it for the most heroic reason imaginable. Um and so there's stuff there. It's not like like, I'm not gonna pretend that the first Independence Day was like an amazing, like super well constructed, script necessarily, but it was doing stuff, and it was doing stuff pretty, quite good, actually. Surprise, which is more than I could say for most Roland Emmerich movies, to be quite honest. Um, Whereas here, it's this movie has so many characters and so many plot points, trying to set up for future movies. That like you could that it just has no clue how to develop most, if not any of them properly, or to even just streamline them. Like, and I'll just be straight up honest. Liam Hemsworth's sidekick, like or wingman essentially. That guy was I found it to be so obnoxious. Like it really seemed like that they were trying to essentially do like the same thing that with like kept with like Will Smith's wingman from the first movie, except like, hey, what if he didn't die? Essentially.
Oh,
And it's
is it like the Travis Stopes character?
uh yeah, I think well, yeah, he's Liam Hemsworth's or Jake Morrison's wingman.
Oh yes,
Like,
I see.
the guy who's horny for the Chinese pilot.
Oh, I
Um
see.
yeah, like every single bit of comedy that they tried to have this guy do was like honestly it just like I can't really remember what I probably thought of this guy's comedy initially. Even when I first initially liked the movie before, in the past. But I'll just tell you right now, like right now, I'm just like every single attempt with this guy's comedy pretty much just flatlined. It's so like he was so annoying. It was like, really, of all the characters, like you have this whole cast of characters that you could just it's like that you could just completely kill off essentially. But this guy, you're not gonna kill him. Like, are you serious?
To be
Oh,
fair, he is one of the good guys, so probably yeah.
well, I mean, so was Will Smith's wingman in the first movie, but he died.
Maybe it's because he's equally as annoying. And we all know about how Michael Bay loves his quote-unquote comedy relief characters.
Michael Bay did not make Independence Day. It's
No,
Roland Emmerich.
I'm saying it's similar, but yeah, I get what you're getting.
Yeah. um.
Anyway, I'm going to be leaving in a couple of minutes, if that's okay for you.
No, that's okay, Hoshi. I'm glad. It's nice to have you on.
But before I go, do you have anything to say about, the sphere?
The Sphere.
Yeah, yeah, the giant ball, that's like the nice alien.
That it really is just that thing is it really is just like like the big it's just a big heaping ball of a literal ball heaping ball of exposition and sequel baiting. That's really like honestly I can't even like I don't even know what I can even possibly say about that thing. It's just other than that, and it's just
Yeah.
yeah, it's just very
Well,
cynical.
but also one more thing I had to just tell you this, and that's quote unquote themes of this movie, and that's the fact that apparently, from what I researched about Independence Day Resurgence, is that while it is a sequel to the original 1996 movie, like it does somewhat quote unquote expand on the themes, like the concept of the first movie, but at the same time, it quote unquote does things like explore themes of technological coexistence, institutions, global defense, and broader cosmic perspective, like the stuff like tech driving coexistence and reverse engineering, institution globalism versus grassroots unity, themes like trauma, psychic scars, and connections, and at the same time, legacy and next generation. Like the from what I seen about the movie, the major theme of it is like the burden of legacy and living in the shadow of giants. Like the film very much does not do a very good job of focusing on the significant focus on the next generation of these new characters, like Dylan, Patricia. They're it tries to explore these things, but it squanders it to focus on the dumbest possible sequel baits imaginable. So that's all I had to say.
Yeah. And honestly, I pretty much would
Anyway,
even. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay. I don't. It's funny that you kind of mentioned like about how characters are like living in the shadows of giants, essentially. And it's funny that it's ironic and how they have to like somehow get past that, or getting past that, essentially, or live up to it, or that potential, what have you. It's funny that that's like the thematics that if that was the themes of that this movie was going for, it's like very ironic when this movie was like lived in the shadow of the first Independence Day, and it never got away from it. Um,
Yeah,
but it's also just it like I can pretty much see how those themes could work in a different movie. Like I could see some of that potential. In fact, we even I can there's probably other movies out there that have done it way better than this, but this just did not. It really it just didn't explore any of them at all. Like it just like at least like nowhere near as thoroughly as it could have. And a lot of it has to do with the sequel baiting and just the fact that like so many characters that none of them are properly developed. Like the first Independence Day had an ensemble cast, but it was able to streamline it and actually like have some development. Even when you have someone coming in late in the game in that movie, like Brent Spiner's character, Dr. Oaken, like he still served a purpose essentially. Like there was a reason for him to be there. Whereas here, I mean, I'll pretty much just go right into it. Like the first movie made it seem very clear that he died when that after he was used by that one alien as a meat puppet, essentially. Like his eyes were wide open and they checked a pulse, and that first movie made it seem pretty clear that he died. So the fact that
okay then.
that turns out he was in a coma for 20 years is kind of is like just so we could we got to bring Brent Spiner back. We got to bring everybody back except Will Smith because we can't get him back. So we'll just have him die, have him be dead off screen. Um, or
Yeah,
the fact that Dr. Oaken apparently had like a lover who was never mentioned at all in the first movie, and if he was supposed to have been there, he would have been around. Like he absolutely would have been around because like his that was his that was his boyfriend that got strangled nearly to death by an alien. Like I don't
okay
know.
then. Well, I'm going to be leaving now. Thank you for having me on and have a nice day.
Heck yeah, you too, man.
But one more thing I had to tell you, Sea Monster, have you seen something I said on our channel, specifically the fact that I finally finished with my Spider-Man universe? Like, I finally did Venom and Carnage. Have you seen it?
I haven't yet. I
Okay
just
then.
haven't had the time.
Okay then. I hope you see it because I really want to know your opinions on it.
Yeah, sure thing. All right. Okay. Yep. And I'm lonely again. So lonely. I particularly also like the storyline of the crew on the ship. Shout out to them. Oh God. Oh God. That okay. Yeah, so like you have like these aliens that seem to be like the film wants to make a big deal of like how like they have come prepared. They're even more of a threat now than they were the previous time. Like this is bigger than the last one, and what have you. And that whole sequence where they're trying to hide from these aliens, and then when they do the distraction, where Liam Hemsworth just like pulls his pants down and like pees on their shit, and then the aliens come out and try shooting at them. You know, essentially like they can't shoot for shit at Liam Hemsworth or anybody out in the open. And it's all just so we could add this bit of juvenile humor right before that. Um, and oh yeah, and this is gonna lean into like the kaiju sequence at the end of the movie. So but we'll get to that in a bit. Yeah, like oh gee, that's so lucky that the aliens were not able to catch up with find these guys. Like even though there's aliens everywhere. Oh God. So and also also here's the question. The aliens have like this super advanced technology. If they had known known like some of the details of what happened, like their mothership maybe got sabotaged or something. Like if the aliens in the first movie were able to send a distress signal, and they would have like provided detail, they would have provided details about what was going on, and probably would have even said like, "Oh my God, the humans have sabotaged us," and they even were able to sort of fly one of our ships, essentially wouldn't 20 years of time would have been able to have these aliens prepped, the alien queen and her side of things, make it so that the alien ships would be a lot more difficult for humans to start flying? You would think they had 20 years to prepare. Like the tagline, I love how the tagline of this movie is like, we had 20 years to prepare, so did they. Yeah, sure. Uh-huh. Like you say that, but like that. Too bad that doesn't mean a goddamn thing when you in execution. um. Okay, so here's the thing. Also, here's another thing about that. And I like a genuine question. So this film pretty much established that there was like one alien ship that was sort of like drilling in Africa, to try to get to the Earth's core, but it got shut down or it stopped, because of the mothership getting destroyed in the first movie. And that's the one in Africa. That's the one with David Levinson and Charlotte Gainsbourg. Kind of see it as well as like the African warlord. Here's the thing: why wasn't this ship ever noted during the 2 decades between the end of the first movie and the beginning of this movie? Why did it take David Levinson, or anyone for that matter, until now? It took them that long to even begin investigating that ship. And let's keep in mind the warlord, in his group, they were hunting aliens within that 2 decade interim. Why? How come they didn't check out the ship like after or even during their hunt? Like it makes no goddamn sense. Like if people had actually noted that there was this ship that was doing this drilling in Africa, and it was investigated before, within the 2 decade interim, I am pretty sure that humanity would have, like, especially considering that humanity was reverse engineering and updating their technology with alien tech, essentially, according to this film, they pretty much would have had so much more time to prep for it. They would have been like, "Oh shit, there's probably a chance that they're coming." Um, yeah, like not only were they digging into our core, but it looks like they sent a distress signal, and there's a possibility that reinforcements are showing up. Because it's cool. Oh my god! Oh, yeah, I'm not even dignifying that with response, other than shame on you. Okay. All right. I'll highlight this. I'm not going to dignify that with a response other than shame on you. Oh God. So you got that. You got that going on. And also, here's another thing that's kind of funny. Like if the like okay. So when the alien ship, like when the big old ship lands on Earth, let's keep in mind. Oh yeah, the fact that this ship, that the Harvester Queen's, sort of flagship, not the shuttle set that she takes to Area 51 to get the sphere, but like the real big ship that they first arrive in. Um, the way that thing scrapes across the moon, and with its own gravity, essentially, as well as just its own mass, and then eventually doing the same to Earth, they're both of those planetary bodies are totally fucked when you get right down to it. Like something that massive. They mention like it spans across the Atlantic Ocean. That's gonna do some shit to Earth's orbit. You know? Like it's pretty much the same issue as like when Cybertron or the remains of Cybertron were like scraping across the moon and Earth in Transformers: The Last Night. It's the same issue when you get right down to it. Except it's even like it might this might be just I don't know if it's like I'm trying to think like let me just put it this way. I'm not the best at math here, but I imagine like they're both pretty bad. Whichever one would be worse for planet Earth and Moon would whether it's another planetary body scraping across the Moon and Earth, or a ship or a giant alien ship that's of a similar scale. Well, maybe not. Okay, maybe not like the same as scale. You could say the moon. Oh God. I have all these issues with Independence Day Resurgence from a writing standpoint, but would you guys believe me that even this movie is still not the worst movie Roland Emmerich has ever made? like, like, like you have to try essentially. And let me just say, Roland Emmerich, when he made Moonfall, he went out of his way. It seemed like he took a bet and said, "How much do you guys want to bet that I could just make the worst piece of shit like you could possibly imagine in the disaster genre?" And boy howdy, boy howdy, does that movie come very close. Good Jesus Christ. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Moonfall was supposed to be like a treatment for an Independence Day 3 that never was allowed to be an Independence Day 3 because Fox got acquisitioned by Disney. And so they were just like, we're not doing Independence Day. And let's just be frank here. Given like how sore for cash Disney is these days, and how inconsistent like their projects have been in terms of financial viability. Like, oh yeah, sure, you got some of the live action remakes like Lilo and Stitch making $1 billion, but then you have The Mandalorian and Grogu, crashing and burning financially. On top of it just be, on top of it being a terrible movie, essentially like a good number of their live action remakes. So I guarantee you, like the last thing that they're gonna want, like if 20th Century Fox was uncomfortable about moving forward with Independence Day 3 because of this movie underperforming the way it did, I guarantee you Disney sure as shit ain't gonna like go into that well at all, essentially, nowadays. Like, because let's be frank here, Independence Day Resurgence made pretty much in the neighborhood of 380 million worldwide, against a 165 million budget. Plus, we also have to take into account marketing and there's other expenses that we have to take into account as well that they would going on. So it would need to have made way, way, way more than that in order for it to actually be successful. Way more than 380 million. If Independence Day 3 were to ever get greenlit, I guarantee you it would not make $380 million. It probably would make even less than that. And honestly, I think Moonfall, like especially whether Roland Emmerich was in charge of it or not, because Moonfall would almost seem like a pretty good case study of what would have happened if Independence Day 3 did get made, because the box office would almost kind of reflect that almost in a way. But I digress on that. Um, so okay, so I kind of went over. All right. So I went over like how how astronomically unlikely it would be for the Earth to even survive having a big ass mothership like land in across a third of the entire Earth, pretty much. No, let's not. Let's not, please. So, all right. So another issue. So the harvester aliens, they have their whole drilling process going on where they try to drill into the Earth's core. If they get to, and then once they get to the core, um, then it's the end of the world essentially. Like everything dies. But let's keep in mind the drilling process had to be stopped by the death of the alien queen. Now that's just kind of, I don't know why they would pretty much. You would think that the aliens would just be like, "Oh shit, we need to keep going." Okay, our alien queen's dead. Yeah, well, we still got to avenge. We had to avenge her. Um, but they were stopped by just mere minutes, and even that might be an overestimation. Because the film even states like once the big kaiju sequence starts, like we have like cutting back to like the guys out in sea who are tracking the drilling, and they say like 6 minutes till they reach the Earth's core, 4 minutes, so on, so on. I want to make this very clear. With how big that hole is that they made to try to get to the Earth's core, and given how close they were to getting to the core when they stopped drilling, the water pressure from the I want to make this clear. The Earth is still completely fucked, and I want you to make and like the Earth's core would still be totally fucked, and the Earth would be fucked. Like it would destroy the Earth and all life on it. It would still be on that. Like Earth and everything on it is all gone. The Queen seemed to be a hive mind, and the prisoner aliens were in a comatose state until a new one arrived. Yeah, I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess, but even then, it's just like they still could have finished the job. I don't know, but I mean but even then, like that's not the big issue with this. Humanity still would still have lost because, and the Earth would still be destroyed in this case because, and I'm not sure with as big of a hole as it is and how close to the Earth's core that the aliens got before they were stopped. I want to like make this very clear. The ocean, there's a lot of water. The Atlantic Ocean is big, and the Earth makes up pretty much like water makes up a large part of the Earth, and water pressure is a thing. Like the crushing weight of the entire Atlantic Ocean would have flooded down into that hole to fill it up. And then and that pressure would have been enough to totally to totally compromise the integrity of what was left of essentially like the layers of Earth right before the core, and the water would get to the core, and that's just gonna do all kinds of things, and that could do all kinds of things to the core. The Earth, the Earth is destroyed. The Earth is gone. It's donezo at that point. Because there's a reason why the Earth's core is like the way it is. So yeah, I'm not a super genius or anything like that, but I can tell you this much. It's gonna do something. It's gonna do something really bad to the Earth, essentially. So it's just one of those things where even with the hive mind sort of perspective, like the aliens would still have it to where they'd be like, well, we made it this far. We may as well just continue. let's just keep on drilling and let's just yeah, and we'll just go from there. Like avenge our queen if nothing else. Yeah, it's just and that's just like another thing. Yeah. Okay, so let's kind of all right, so what else is there to say? Okay. Like from the movie The Core. Yeah, exactly. Something like that. Also, to kind of like go over a bit because I know that this movie is meant to be like a disaster movie in a way, which it's only a disaster movie for like 5 minutes of the movie, like in the middle of it. Um, but the destruction sequences in this film, they are just like oh yeah, look, the ship is so huge that it has its own gravity, and that's going to destroy a whole bunch of cities, and that's where the chaos ensues, where the destruction disaster stuff sort of goes on. Um, and yet it's still just doesn't have anywhere near the impact as what we saw in the first movie when cities get destroyed. Not just from a technical standpoint, because of like how the first movie, used like a good mix of practical and CGI and so on and so on. Whereas this movie is all totally CGI. That seems to be going off of like this how do I put this? It's like this new this sort of like this new look for the CGI that some of Roland Emmerich's more recent films like this, and as well as Moonfall have used, where the explosions like look a lot more shinier and a lot more like there's more of an orange tint to like it just doesn't look appealing at all. Like it's not like from just a visual standpoint. Um, it just doesn't. And so it almost looks kind of dull in a lot of ways. There's like it lacks like a like it's not as colorful as what we got from the first movie. You know, whereas that's actually vibrant. You got like the vibrant light blue of the alien laser. Followed up by like the vibrant like orange and red of like the explosions. Yeah, no, Jaguar son of. You're thinking of a different movie. Um, but also just in terms of how Resurgence kind of treats the disaster sequences from a tonal standpoint. Like the first movie treated its destruction scenes with a sense of grandeur and intensity, essentially, where it's just like it's wide, like oh yeah, like sure, like it's a bunch of cities getting shot up by big mega lasers like all at once, and maybe it's not as big as something like an entire ship like landing on Earth, but and yet they still feel the first movie's destruction sequences feel much bigger. They just and they just like a lot more impact, and there's a lot more suspense going on of like whether or not these characters could get out of it alive. I mean, you get some goober moments like the boomer stuff, like the dog like somehow escaping it, what have you. But it's still it's still done pretty well. In the film, it's like there's a lot of emphasis on all that. Whereas here, the disaster stuff going on, the destruction, it's kind of an afterthought. Essentially, it's treated like that in a lot of ways. To where you even have certain characters like David Levinson just talking about how they always like to get the landmarks when there's millions of people dying, like not just in the city that they're flying over, but like in any other city that's within the radius of the ship. Um, and there's just barely any time for any drama that's supposed to be there to breathe. And when there is supposed to be drama to be there, like Vivica A. Fox dying, you have Jesse T. Usher, you know, just sounding like putting in a really terrible performance because I'll just be frankly, Roland Emmerich is not really that great with actors, apparently. um, like he can which is which I have to believe that that was something that he lost along the way when he was making movies. Because the first movie had good performances, essentially. I mean, Bill Pullman had good dramatic performances. You have Will Smith being very charismatic, essentially. Though, I mean, granted, I do think that the actors themselves are, sort of like putting in a lot of that work. But I like to think that Emmerich was at least competent enough to at least to pretty much be like, okay, this is kind of like what I would want you guys to do, for that emotional scene or how to deliver this funny line, and then we just and then and you do your thing because you're talented actors, essentially. And whereas here, it comes off like it comes off as like what a lot of people sort of like criticize George Lucas for when he directed the Star Wars prequels, and understandably so. Like wooden acting, you got like actors who either don't kind of seem to be acting in a wooden way, and to something that's not supposed to be in a way that's like incongruent with how they would actually react, or in the case of Jesse T. Usher in this movie, is just kind of awful, essentially. Which a lot of that could lean into the former, but honestly, I'm like just looking at this film. Like maybe he got better as an actor over the years. I don't really know, but all I can say is that he was pretty terrible in this. But even Michael Monroe, who I've seen her do good in other stuff. I mean, like she was good at It Follows. In this movie, I mean, it's pretty much like the George Lucas type of thing. Like I mentioned, with her even, where like there is a point where she lets out a battle cry when she tries to take out the alien queen's shield, but it's like the worst battle cry ever. It's just more like a ah. It's so like I'm just like what oh my god, no honey, no, why? Why was it like that, man? um so you got that, you pretty much kind of have that going on. And okay, can we just go over like how like you got like the first dogfight essentially where humanity tries to retaliate against the aliens, and they do this whole thing where they get that close to the ship, even though it's just like, didn't we do like, oh yeah, just like in the first movie. And it turns out like, oh wait, oh shit, what if there's like a trap or something? And it turns out there is a trap. Like it's oh my, like wow, 20 years, y'all had 20 years to prepare for this, to figure out, to like you've been like, and you just fell into such obvious trickery. Like what is wrong with you people? um so you pretty much have that. you, you got that going on. And I mentioned a bit of plot armor for Liam Hemsworth and his crew when they're on the alien ship, or when they were in the ship before. The plot armor doesn't stop there. I mean, like it didn't. Like it started even before that. I mean, like David Levinson's dad somehow surviving this mothership landing. It's just like, oh yeah, it's like, oh no, oh no, I hope he made it out alive. Did he make it out alive? Oh no. It took him 20 years to come up with that trap. No, it would have now it would have taken them 20 years to pretty much come up with something a little more clever than that, just in case. Just in case the humans would wise up to the first time and realize, oh shit, they have shields and all that. They would have known that there was a war going on at Earth, and humans would have been like, all right, they have shields, and the aliens would know that the humanity was able to compromise their shields on the first movie because they were beaten, because humanity beat the aliens. So they would do something way more competent than that. Let's just be frank here. um So you have that, and okay, so all right, so we got this sort of going on. All right, so why now? Here's a question: Why would the alien that has like Whitmore essentially held hostage? Why would it tell them about the fact that they have a queen? Why would it do that? Like, okay, so you want to just risk like fucking over your side, your faction by telling them about the fact that you have a queen and that if humanity kills the queen, then they've won they won the war. Like that, like, are you because they asked, like, the alien could have just said no. Could have just said fuck you. It's like their best ship is definitely bigger than the last one. Bigger's not always better. Like, I mean, have like has no like size matter. Size matters not. Like, does no one not know what Yoda remember Yoda's words, his teachings? Um. Okay, so here's all right. So speaking of the aliens being incompetent, and speaking of plot armor, so okay. Oh my god. I can't even get to that yet. Jesus Christ. Okay. So this movie goes out of its way. It tries to have it where Thomas Whitmore, ex former president Thomas Whitmore, he's like kind of in a slump essentially, and he's like traumatized by visions of aliens coming back potentially, essentially traumatized in a similar way to Dr. Oaken later in the film. Um, but then he like tries to get build him back. He tries to build himself back up essentially, and which I guess like that's a storyline that could have worked essentially, but it really, if it wasn't for the fact that we just have like 50 or 100 other characters that the film doesn't introduces and doesn't bother to develop all that well at all, or even develop period, like just straight up. Um, but like, so they got him going on, and he even tries a couple times to do like an inspirational speech of like what he did in the first movie. Like where like after like the initial dogfight goes awry, and does like the speech in the hangar bay, and and it's like it probably would have been a decent speech, but the way it just sort of plays out, it doesn't come up as like a big grand speech or anything like in the first movie where he had everyone's attention. And he's like center stage and all that. It's a more like some guy. He just comes up more like some old guy just like somehow got lost and started talking to himself, and everyone else just stops to listen. And it almost becomes like parody where everyone just sort of takes that as inspiration. It's like the way that was handled. It just does. Like, it just comes and goes. It's like very like the film is so nonchalant about everything, and the movie it just. Can I just even like mention like how the film just it all looks, it has like such a drab color scheme essentially that's like that just doesn't really look all that right at all. Like, it's all blue. It's like you may as well have just had a Eiffel 65, like, there all the time, like perpetually singing. If that's how blue this movie is, a lot of the time. So yeah, honestly, it would have made it better. It would make just about as much sense as the stuff as whatever shit goes on here. Um, so you got that kind of going on. But yeah, so at some point he is willing to make the heroic sacrifice to try to take out the alien queen. like goes on his last flight, and he's even like accompanied by his daughter, who's pretty reluctant, and even wanted him to be kept from getting in the ship, but getting in that ship with the cold fusion bomb, to try to kill the queen with. And he's gonna do like a suicide, like essentially kamikaze himself to the alien ship. And so he delivers the cold fusion payload, blows up the ship, and it turns out the alien queen has a shield the whole fucking time. So basically, like, let me put it this way: the way this movie treats its legacy cast, it would be like, like the complete and total absence of Captain Hiller, him just having died during a test flight off screen. President Whitmore letting himself get killed, only to have that sacrifice pretty much mean nothing at the end of the day. And you have David Levinson just being just like comic relief fodder, essentially. Um, it's like if The Force Awakens literally started with an opening text by saying that by saying that Luke Skywalker died during during a test flight of a new X-wing off screen. Han Solo has like is like a crazy old guy who kind of like sees visions of a new empire coming up, and then he tries to blow up the Death Star by blowing himself using a bomb to blow himself up along with that new Death Star, only for the Death Star to turn out to have the Death Star blows up, or something like that blows up, only for the new Palpatine clone thing, Snoke, to have a shield, to have a personal shield on his person. And Leia is like flying around on the Millennium Falcon with Chewbacca and like, I guess like an equivalent of a school bus full of kids evading this Palpatine thing while the new cast like tries to take it down. Imagine that's what this is. That's what this. It's so goddamn stupid. Wow. You took these characters who aren't even like amazing. Like you're not even talking about characters that are even like as good as what we got from Star Wars. You got like characters who are just like maybe like B characters, like in terms of grades, like not like B movie character, like in terms of like a grading system. Like you got like B plus characters. President Whitmore is probably more like an A minus. His stupid funny. I'm not touching that. I am not. No, I'm not touching that. Something can be stupid fun and cool. Okay, what? It's just stupid here. Okay, let me just be frank. Like you have like these characters from Independence Day that aren't even like amazing characters. They're not even like the most they're not even like three-dimensional really. But they worked, and they had like they were likable. They were likable, and they actually were fairly well written. Especially President Whitmore was pretty damn well written in the first movie, and you just waste them. You waste them, you flanderize them. You have one of them just like dead off screen because they couldn't get one of the actors to come back. And that's something that even Roland Emmerich, when he was mentioning about how his dissatisfaction in this movie upon retrospect was like not having Will Smith in this movie was one of the reasons why Roland Emmerich wasn't pleased with how this movie turned out upon retrospect. To be honest, I think he should go a step further and just be like, no, I'm dissatisfied with this movie because this was such a shit script. I don't know why I even took on this. I should have just left this alone. I should have left Independence Day alone as a one and done. Done because it works as a one and done, and that's all it needed to be. Okay, so yeah, you got the sacrifice that was all for nothing, all for bullshit, essentially. The alien queen has a shield. Okay, all right, let's get into the kaiju of High Leader of the Lost Souls. Okay. Let's get into the fucking kaiju set piece in Alien Independence. I always called it Alien Resurgence. Independence Day Resurgence. All right. Alien Queen has a shield. You got these pilots that have to shoot up the shield enough times, like it's a video game, like it's a final boss of a video game. I'll just lay this up here. Yeah, like it's a boss fight. Pretty much, it's like we got to shoot the shield enough times before it goes down. Even so you got that. And they have to fly in close, even though they're in jets that could, shoot from a distance. Essentially, like you could just do that. It's like, oh yeah, we make fun of kaiju movies for, yeah. You know how people make fun of kaiju movies about how like fighter jets just let themselves get taken out by the kaiju by flying too close, even though they have long range weapons. Yeah, this movie kind of does that. It pretty much falls into that stereotype as well. So you have that. That's for starters. The Alien Queen has a gun that she can shoot things down with. Hoshi and I even sort of like brought that up a bit. Like her having a gun alone, like that's not in the that's like the least of the issues there. She chases the fucking school bus instead of just going for the goddamn sphere in goddamn Area 51. Why is she chasing a fucking random school bus of kids? Like, oh, we gotta have David Levinson and Judd Hirsch something to do, and the school bus of kids have something going on during this action sequence. Why would the Alien Queen go out of its way to chase them? They have nothing to do with her ship getting okay. All right, no. Okay, he had something to do with the ship blowing up, but I kind of would think that if I was an Alien Queen, I would not waste. Like it's like, oh shit. Okay, well, I just got inconvenienced by that bomb that just cold fusion bomb that just blew up in my face or whatever that was. All right, we're gonna have to go. All right, I guess I'm gonna have to go on foot and get the sphere myself that way. Why can't she just use her tentacles or call her army? Exactly. Yeah. No. Here's the thing. She does use her tentacles. When the jets are flying too close to her, she uses her tentacles to just swat them down casually. Here's the thing. Oh yeah. Okay. Here's another thing. If she really wants to kill that school bus full of children, let's just say the plot armor on David, his father, and the school bus during the sequence, it is mind-boggling. It is absolutely mind-boggling. The alien, the queen, literally, all she has to do, like, she keeps missing when she tries to shoot at them or tries to step on them, when all she needed to do was, like, all she had to, like, she seemed to be a pretty good shot when taking down the fighter jets that are obviously moving, that are objectively faster than the school bus, when she was just standing still. Why didn't she just stand still when trying to shoot the school bus? Or even better, like, if she could just casually shoot or whip fighter jets out of the sky, she could take out this stupid school bus. Like, she could totally do that. Very lucky for Micah Monroe to pretty much survive getting smushed by the Alien Queen or killed by her, because her fiance and his pals are, come in and save the day in their alien ships that they commandeered. Taking out her gun essentially. And I'm just like thinking, like, okay, you disabled her gun. Why are you still shooting at it? Why not just like keep shooting at her body, her person? Go around the back. Do it. Okay, and of course they get taken control. Their ship gets compromised. They get taken control of away from them. Which, here's the thing: why did she just call for her ships to like hive around her, to like swarm around her, like what they do in the first place? Like, if they'd done that, like if she had done that, Liam Hemsworth and Jesse T. Usher and the the Chinese girl and the stupid wingman of Liam Hemsworth's character, they're like, they wouldn't be able to do anything. They wouldn't have been able to save Micah Monroe. They would like, she'd be dead. She'd be fucked. She'd be dead. The school bus would be dead. Like, the war would have been over. Like, and because at that point her shield would still be up. If she had done it, like, it's like one of those things. It's so stupid. It is absolutely insane. It is absolutely insane. And once she actually breaches through Area 51, like, here's the thing. I know, I'm pretty sure that there's many other things wrong with this movie, but like, before that, before this whole sequence, like, I'm sure there's plenty of other issues that I haven't even touched yet. but um, but I definitely wanted to get to this because it's like the movie would have been over, humanity would have lost if the Alien Queen wasn't such a goddamn idiot during this whole sequence. Um, so you have that. So she breaches to Area 51. She's got the sphere. If the alien, now keep in mind, if the queen gets the sphere, it's over. She will kill it, and humanity would be, and it's all over for humanity and for any other star systems wherever that sphere came from or anywhere else. The movie would be over. She gets the sphere. So I don't understand why she then just sort of looks at it and doesn't try to crush it or do it or have her ships like blast at it or do anything. Why was she just holding on to it until, and allowing our heroes enough time to do their stupid maneuver thing, their afterburner bullshit, and then just fly up and then kill her, shoot her from the back and kill her? What is stopping that? Like, what was stopping her at that point? If we can't shoot it down, if we can fuck it up, I don't know how it could beat the other aliens, to be honest. Yeah, exactly. Like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, it's like, like the alien, like, we were able, the moon state, the moon, the moon defense systems were able to shoot down her ship with one blast. Yeah, it's a good question. Like, if they're supposed to be like have like this super competent technology that could help other species across the galaxy defeat the harvesters, then why was it so easy for her ship to get shot down by us? Like, how, like, what good is that? What good is she gonna do? Exactly. Oh, oh God. Oh God, there's so much wrong with this. Yeah, and then you just is like tee hee alien blood all over the school bus. Yeah, whatever. You would think they'd make more durable and protective ships, even if they don't want to go on the offense. Exactly. Like this thing is like the spear. The sphere is all like, we have technology and means for you to be able to fight back against the harvesters. And and it's like, really? Because your ship wasn't that durable. Like, okay. Thanks, I guess. I don't know how you were able to convince the other races, before us. I don't, it's so weird. Okay, and so, yeah, and then the mothership leaves because, hive mind logic after the queen is dead. Um, the Earth is still destroyed, though, like I said, about how they were just minutes away from reaching the Earth's core, and again, pressure of the ocean would be enough to kill the Earth. They also make it so vague because they wanted to lead to a sequel, but it sucks so bad it'll never happen. Exactly. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Yeah, honestly, it's like one of those things where I don't think they knew what the hell, they were gonna do after that. It's like they were just talking. It seemed like they were just like talking mystery box bullshit. Really, where they're just like, how are you guys gonna be able to stop the aliens? Roland Emmerich. I don't know. I don't know. What are you looking at me? I'm just the writer. Yeah, no, we know. Yeah, like Independence Day didn't need a sequel. Here's the thing. Yeah, I mean, I'll get into this rant in a bit, but I want to like go over this. yeah, you got this final scene, and of course, it all ends very triumphantly. Where you got Brent Spiner saying, "We're gonna kick some serious alien ass." Cut to credits, like, and I will like watching that again in this recent watch through to prep for this stream. It's it's like so hilarious, but also surreal. It pretty much reminds me of it reminds me of like the of, like when Jonah Baker's last line in Final Justice is, I think he's got my badge. Can you get it for me? Roll credits. It's like what? It's like, okay, yeah, exactly. Despite the ocean and etc. That's what I said. Like, yeah, it's like, and that's the thing. The whole hive mind thing is bullshit that was established just so that we could have it to where, like, once the alien queen is defeated, then we have beaten back the aliens. Even though there was nothing in the first movie to suggest that would have had to have been the case. They would have just kept going, potentially. Um, like, and then you just have like they were. It's like, you guys are so fucking close. Just finish the job. Like, even if a hive of bees were like doing a goal and they were almost done, like they were right there. I guarantee it. Like, even if their queen was somehow dead and they figured it out, they would still complete their mission. Which is worse, ID4 2 or Independence Day 2 or Pacific Rim 2? I don't know, man. I don't know. I have no idea which one. Honestly, I'm having a hard time thinking about which one's worse, actually. Uh, um, Honestly, I mean, here's the thing. Like, Independence Day 2 was able to do a bit more with some of its new characters than Independence Day 2. Pacific Rim 2. Pacific Rim Uprising did a little more with some of its characters. It tried to do more with its characters more than Independence Day 2. Like, I say, like, it was, but at the same time, it still just comes off as just like a hodgepodge of a whole bunch of ideas for a Pacific Rim sequel that were just crunched together into a 2-hour movie to make like an incoherent, to just kind of like make some nonsense for an excuse to have to have a sequel and to set up for a third movie. Um, this this is just like, let's just do the first movie again but bigger, while also trying to introduce new characters and more characters, and have and just like set up for more movies. Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. I'm not even sure which. I honestly don't even know which one would be worse. It's hard to say. I think maybe it's because like Mako Mori's death is probably arguably a bit more insulting than President Whitmore's death in this movie, or Will Smith's character dying off screen, because like Mako Mori it was like a great character, like one of the best characters in kaiju fiction. Whereas like I can't really say like any of the characters from Independent, even the first Independence Day, are like up there as like some of the best characters in science fiction, really. So I think Pacific Rim 2 might be more insulting on that level. Um, it's probably worse on that front. Um, ID4 keeps in tone and style more than Pacific Rim 2 does. Feels more like a true sequel. Does it though? I mean, like maybe some of the tone is a bit more consistent in some ways, but it's still just the execute. It's just the execution is worse than in the first movie. I Yeah, no, I mean, I agree that Independence Day 2. Yeah, I mean, I to a degree I could undersee Independence Day 2 being closer to the first movie in terms of tone, compared to how Pacific Rim 2 was in terms of tone compared to
Pacific Rim 1, but like, but here's the thing, like, here's the thing. Regardless of whatever tone you want to go for, in a sequel to a movie that's darker or what have you, or or if you want to keep the tone the same, essentially, like at the end of the day, it's all a matter of execution, really. I mean, like, Thor Ragnarok, was like, yeah, is very different in tone compared to Thor: The Dark World, but it's a better but it was still a much better movie than Thor: The Dark World. Now, granted, meanwhile, you get to Thor: Love and Thunder, which keeps the tone of Thor Ragnarok, if not doubles down on a lot of on like the worst tendencies of that movie, and it just ends up being significantly worse than Ragnarok in every single way. So yeah, like, you can have a sequel that's different in tone from a previous movie and still be good, much like how you could have a sequel that's consistent with another movie tonally and it would still be shit. So that's kind of what I would say. Um, in terms of that, yeah, so yeah, needless to say, um, yeah, like the fact that Resurgence, Independence Day did not need it didn't need a sequel. It pretty much is like the sci-fi action blockbuster equivalent to something like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre or The Exorcist, where they just didn't need a sequel. It didn't need to make it into a franchise. Except at least with The Exorcist and Texas Chainsaw. Like, at least The Exorcist had one good sequel, and that was Exorcist 3, which honestly I think should have been called The Exorcist Legion. Because, when you think of Exorcist 3, you'll pretty much be like, oh, wait, oh, yeah, that's right. There was an Exorcist 2, and that movie was ass. um, I don't know if I want to be reminded of that. I probably should have called it The Exorcist Legion, just so we wouldn't be reminded that this is Exorcist 3 all that much. Like, have it be, especially if you want this to be the only true sequel to the original Exorcist. But that's neither here nor there. Never seen any sequel of The Exorcist. Watch Exorcist 3. You watch The Exorcist 3. That movie's actually pretty good. It actually plays out a bit differently than the first movie in a lot of ways. You got George C. Scott, like, investigating a bunch of murders going on, grisly murders, and you got, like, Brad Dourif, like, turning in, like, honestly, like, an Oscar caliber performance, essentially, as the Gemini killer. Um, yeah, I mean, like, that's like the only good Exorcist sequel. You don't need to watch any of the other Exorcist sequels, to be honest. You could do without any of them. Stick with the original Exorcist and then Exorcist 3, and then pretend that there was no 2 or any others after 3. The Exorcist 3 has one of the best jump scares in film, right? Yes, yeah, that jump scare was, yeah. That movie has a jump scare in it, and it's like, I know people think like, oh, jump scares are lame, they're stupid, they take out of the movie, they're there just for shock value. Like, Exorcist 3 actually has a jump scare in it that that is not only very well earned in terms of impact, but it actually builds it up beautifully. Like, that movie is how you do a jump scare. I only watched the first 2 Texas Chainsaw movies, I think, and maybe clips of the others, but the first 2 were good. Yeah, the original is a classic, and yeah, and I didn't even say, yeah, and Texas Chainsaw 2 was pretty entertaining as well. So that one's kind of fun. I even liked the first Platinum Dunes Texas Chainsaw movie, to be honest. The second one, not so much. Oh, nice, Lau. You went good. You went to see Evil Dead Burn. All right, I'm planning on seeing it tomorrow. How was it? Yeah, exactly. Jump scares are not inherently bad. It's just how you do a jump scare. It pretty much matters more than anything, rather than whether or not the jump scare even exists. Yeah. They were pretty, yeah. Well, Ghidorah brought a whole flood into Washington, so I think we're good on that. Yeah, the build up and execution. Yeah, in a jump scare. Exactly. Oh yeah. Speaking of the White House, yeah, you got that little gag where the ship stops just short of the White House, essentially, and doesn't destroy it. Like the White House is like mostly intact. It's like ha 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 ha, funny. Yeah, yeah. You're so clever. Oh, we got Lau here, but it looks like he's got his Lau. I think your webcam is on. Okay. All right. Just yeah. Just give it a sec. Yeah, the White House has plot armor now. Exactly. Okay. All right. Here we go.
Okay, yeah, no, the camera was apparently I gave permission to both things. So Sea Monster saw the corpses in my house and he saw that I'm naked. I'm sorry about that.
No,
No,
God.
like to be fair, I don't really mind. It's not even like I'm like hiding my face in my own channel or anything, so it's not like an issue. Sorry,
Okay.
I just came because I saw that you were in like a horror tangent.
A little bit.
As soon as I got in, you started talking about the Independence Day again. So how was it?
Well, I mean, the first Independence Day is better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. It didn't need a sequel. Like I kind of mentioned, Exorcist and Texas Chainsaws because like those are like the originals were like movies that you just didn't really need a sequel. I mean, you could argue that a lot of movies out there don't need sequels, when they end up getting them anyways. But there's like some that where a case for not doing a sequel can be made better than other cases, and Independence Day is just kind of one of those examples. Like
yeah, the thing with sequels is that okay, wait, do you mind me using the camera? Like I put on some clothes and I washed blood. Like I don't mind. I mean, if you want to talk about it for a little bit, I can. Like, but if you want to like keep it on track and move on, like I don't mind also like moving on, like from the sequel topic.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and we're just kind of like bringing it back to that. Yeah. Independence Day Resurgence is just kind of like that, along with Pacific Rim Uprising, are just like examples of like why you just don't need a sequel sometimes. Like you could have just done without it. Leave it alone.
The thing is, sequels are tricky because you can either show that everything you knew was limited and there's way more, or you could, and that can be a good thing, and even when it's a good thing it can still be a bad thing. And that's why I was asking if I can like show something here, because I have an example of that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean at this point, I don't mind.
Okay, wait. So wait a minute. That's kind of unfocused. So this Alien novelization comes, well, first of all, it's in Portuguese, like, but it's from the first version of the script, and here the alien regenerates. Right, this is something that Ridley Scott wanted the alien to do, and even there were some concepts of the movie at first where the alien would speak, right? So the alien wasn't supposed to be an ant or like a wasp or some stupid bug. Like it's still cool, right? But then James Cameron did his thing with the sequel, where he gave it a queen and it's like an ant colony, hive mind. and in a way, what he did, he cut off all the possibilities of what the alien could be to just lock it into that one thing. And we don't really care because the movie was great. Like
Yeah.
Aliens is amazing, but then when you think about all the possibilities, it's like, even if Aliens was great, did we actually get the best thing we could have gotten?
Yeah.
Alien, uh, going in the direction that it went, not only gave us Aliens, also like this. This is a book. I know it's inverted for some reason. Like you're seeing it the other way around, but it's Alien into Charybdis, which is one of the best. If I think this is better than any of the movies, like straight out like the story. So
Damn.
sequels can literally define a franchise more than the first movie ever did if you do it right. The problem is
Yeah.
that even if you do that, even with Alien, you're locking all the possibilities you have for any expansion or changes, right? Because if you can only say, actually, turns out that there's more that you didn't know, and this recontextualizes everything. But you can only do that once. Like if you do it again, it sounds like a retcon, and it sounds like you're just doing random bullshit. And
Yeah.
so yeah, that's like the main problem. Then I mean, I guess another example will be this guy. With Freddy, they had this thing where in the sequel they wanted him to possess people, which is not necessarily a bad idea. It's just that then he never did it again, so it feels like the sequel was this one-off thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah, he pretty much uses a Jesse as like a vessel in the second movie, and that never really comes up in the later movies.
The vessel idea is not even bad. Like
No?
his transformation in the movie is like actually scary, and it's one of the best effects I think in the franchise. Like you see,
Oh,
like
yeah.
the claws growing out of him. He like literally rips himself out of him. So
Yeah. Yeah, like
no,
Jesse was like a cocoon essentially for Freddy. Like it's
it's unique, if anything. Like, but I feel like that will have taken Freddy out of the slasher route. If you make him that supernatural, he's basically like a demon at this point. So why even use like the little claws?
Yeah, I mean, like maybe you probably could, but it is just like a whole thing of opportunity. It's like an opportunity cost type of thing. You know,
Yeah, exactly.
Like
You have to choose, and once you choose, you better make it pay off, or else you lock yourself out of the like slasher cheesiness goodness thing.
Yeah, or you lock yourself into something essentially that would just be like really, really difficult for any future storytellers, or you yourself, or yourself a storyteller, you know, in trying to get you out of it, get it out if you want, if the goal is to get it out eventually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. Leader of the Last Souls is saying so. He's a dream demon. But the thing is, if you make him possess people and go out into the physical world, you can shoot him now. You can do stuff to him in the real life, and that's actually what they do in Freddy versus Jason, and that's his worst weakness. That now he's not just a dream demon. Now he has a physical body that you can hurt him with.
Yeah, like that was the thing that happens, and that's like a thing since the first movie, essentially.
Yeah.
So
the problem is that he's nerfing himself by doing that, and there's no real gain from it. But yeah, Independence Day, since you have like the aliens thing, right? Like this whole universe outside of Earth that we don't know, they could have made a sequel that was like unique and like great. It's just that I feel the problem is that they just wanted to do more of the same. You know, the typical bigger, badder thing that they want to do with sequels.
Yeah. And then just give us even more characters, essentially. You know, just because it's like we have to bring some of the legacy characters like Jeff Goldblum and Bill Pullman back. We can't bring Will Smith back because we can't get him, but we got to bring at least those two big ones back, as well as Vivica A. Fox as a bonus.
Yeah.
And Judd Hirsch, and Robert Loggia as a cameo. who, yeah, like the fact that this was like his last role before he died is like, yeah, like he was barely there, and I don't just mean like he showed up as a cameo, but it's just like I'm not even sure he was even filmed at that time. He must have been like 100 when they filmed that.
Yeah, no, I think that the studios have this need to maintain the status quo. That's why they didn't want to like go too far into it, and that's why we keep also like this idea that the sequels always have to be there was a sentence for it that I know that there's like a specific phrase which is bigger and better, but I think that there's something more to it. But yeah, as you mentioned, it's just more characters, more explosions,
A bigger
more
mothership. We have an alien
Yeah.
queen that's pretty much a kaiju. We're good. We're doing crazier stuff. But none of it has anywhere near the impact that the first movie had.
Yeah, and I think what they could have done is the thing with Aliens, where you just change genres. Like the first one was action. Okay, what if this one goes more into horror or something like that, right? Like it will have been the opposite from Alien, basically. Instead of going from horror to action, you could have gone from action to horror. And yeah, like they had options. It's not. I don't think that an Independence Day movie couldn't work. It's just the problem with scale that studios think that people just want bigger scale all the time.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Cloverfield Lane, 10 Lane, like I know the Cloverfield franchise is a fucking mess, but that went smaller.
Yeah,
And it's the best movie to some people, to most people, I would even say, because not everyone is into the kaiju stuff, and even less the found footage like genre. A lot of people are burned out about it. But the drama, like drama is universal, right? So Cloverfield 10 Lane for a lot of people is just the best one, and it just scaled things back. It's just I don't know why people cannot realize that.
Yeah,
like, you
honestly,
don't even have Will Smith anymore, as you said. So the main action star is gone anyway.
Yeah, like the action star that you have is Liam Hemsworth, Chris Hemsworth's brother. Who is just it's like what a downgrade that is, and along with a guy who is supposed to be Will Smith's stepson from the first movie, but he's all grown up, except he has about his charisma the charisma and like what have you as like a brick.
You know what they should have done? Turn it into a comedy and put Braden Smith in the lead. Just make it a comedy. Yeah, Jaden. I don't know. But yeah, you put Jaden Smith. Because here's the thing, like when you do he's the stepson or the grandchild, or when you do this like lineage thing that ironically like horror movies do like all the fucking time. Like this guy just goes around apparently and only his family can kill him, so you get more Voorhees people in the end. Freddy does the same, like they just have an obsession in bad movies with saying that family is like the only weakness or just bringing them back. He fell. I cannot put him on the stand. Anyway, but yeah, they do that thing, but it's like if you're going to do it, I think like legit, if you had put Jaden with how bad of an actor he is and you made it a comedy, it would have been funny. I think it could have been legit funny.
Yeah, like actually, like really lean into the comedy.
Yeah, because again, the action is gone. You said the Hemsworth was a downgrade, but we are not acknowledging that Will Smith himself is a fucking downgrade from himself in the 90s. Like he fell off.
Well,
yeah,
kind of.
Even having him in the movie, I feel like wouldn't have made it better. It would have always been a downgrade.
And that's why when I say like even though Roland Emmerich has admitted to being not all that satisfied with how Resurgence turned out, partly because of Will Smith being gone, it's just like I think you're kind of missing. It's like that's just like
missing the point.
That's kind of that's not the point though. I even want to see like where I could find that article, like if there is an article out there about or anything about that.
I'm pretty sure if there's not an article, there's a bunch of people that like the first movie that probably made some video essays. I don't like Independence Day all that much. I just remember, I think I told you this, I only remember the puppet scene. That was traumatizing as a kid. Like the alien took speaking through the guy. Like I will never forget that. And I
Yeah,
think that's why I never wanted to watch the movie again, because I know it's a 90s movie. I know it has Will Smith. So I kind of don't want to ruin that horror scene in my mind just to find out a movie that it's not even probably my style. Like it's not my thing. It's almost like the horror scene in my head is so good that I don't want to like mad it or something like that.
no, I get that, but it's still, when you
Yeah,
pretty much like say that the movie could have been, could have been that the sequel could have been better as a horror movie, like they pretty much could have like stuck to that. Like they even established as part of backstory, you have for this movie, like this African warlord, like him and his like sort of faction were hunting aliens that sort of survived the events of the first movie and just were kind of running around the
you're
outskirts of
fucking kidding
Africa.
me. Did they actually did that?
Well, they used it as backstory, to explain why he's in the movie.
Ugh. So so this is another fucking movie like all of Godzilla Earth that just has like the coolest backstory, and they literally actively fought against using it. So they have it on paper. They just
Yeah, they just all right. So here's
yeah.
all right. So I found something regarding okay, IndieWire. We'll just see what the all right. It pretty much says like that the final. It says IndieWire Independence Day Resurgence. And this was like released in this is like from 2019 when he put out a movie called Midway, which was a World War II film, which which is like wasn't good either, but it's not like the worst thing he's ever done. All right, so apparently it says like Emmerich says is that I just wanted to make a movie exactly like the first, who, while the film was underway, lost his leading man, Will Smith, to another tentpole project, that being Suicide Squad. So there you go. But
Oh, that's painful. You
yeah,
lost to Suicide Squad.
yeah,
That's
and that's because the actor was reportedly cost too much for a sequel that was already expensive. He said, like, I should have stopped making the movie because we had a much better script than I had to. That I had to. What's up with this wording here? All right. Right. I should have stopped making the movie because we had a much better script. Then I had to really fast cobble another script together. Emmerich said, I should have just said no because all of a sudden I was making something I criticized myself, a sequel. Like, okay.
so. Wait, Roland Emmerich as a whole, he's like against the idea of sequels.
For some, even though he left Godzilla '98 even though Godzilla '98 was left on a cliffhanger, back in the '90s.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's. I mean, granted, that could have been a studio thing for all we know.
Yeah.
Where so that could just be, perhaps. But he said, life sometimes happens in a certain way. But I've always been into American movies. I never could understand anything else. Or I don't know this. Well, I don't think this has anything to do with. Okay, so, but so apparently because he lost Will Smith, because Will Smith was not in the movie, that's how we got the movie that we got with Independence Day Resurgence. It's just like it. So if first of all, that's kind of just almost sort of demeaning to that I can almost kind of see that as being sort of demeaning to the first movie because of the fact that without Will Smith, Will Smith was a large part of what made that movie as successful as it was and as entertaining as it was. But it wasn't. But that wasn't all that movie had going for it. So the fact that you had to rely on Will Smith in order to get a sequel to be made, and that resulted in everything just going topsy turvy with this movie. It's just when he's not there, like I don't know, dude. Like that's maybe you could have just like come up with a plan B. You know, you had 20 years essentially. You know, like unless like if they were really gonna make it, like if you're really gonna commit to making Independence Day 2, you had a while essentially. Like there was no there's pretty much no excuse to not have like come up with some idea for a sequel to this if you're really gonna commit to it. That would may or may whether or not Will Smith would even come back. I don't know. It's just kind of baffling to me.
Yeah, like Will Smith is overrated nowadays. Like if you think that you need him for a movie, like he was a 90s thing. He has not just fallen off in the sense that his whole fucking image is just like a joke. He's a cock.
Yeah.
He's a cock to his son's best friend on top of that, like which makes him like a cock to the square cock. Like it's just more pathetic. His wife humiliates him constantly. She's entangled with like half the people in the planet. We should assume that he has some STD from her. Like he's completely wasted. And
Damn.
on top of that, he has only been making shitty movies for how long now? Like what movie did he make recently that was good? The one that won the Oscar? And as soon as he got that one, he just ruined it in the same Oscar ceremony.
Yeah.
By the way, beating someone that was like half his size on top of that, so he's a fucking bitch now. Like he was already a cock. He was already a bitch.
He slapped Chris Rock.
And no one hates Chris Rock on top of that. Like he didn't even slap someone that people didn't like. He slapped someone that people like genuinely fucking like. So
yeah, like
he's a complete
it was like
clown.
right after the G.I. Jane joke, essentially. You know, just like it's like, yeah, I mean, sure, your wife has has alopecia, but it's like you're like, yeah, I mean, like if she doesn't take the
he
you
laughed.
shouldn't just
He
laughed. Yeah, and then he just went up there because like his wife wanted him to do something about it. It was just like, why? This is not even like G.I. Jane 2, like that's not even like it's not even that offensive. Like that's kind of a nothing burger joke, really. Like that's just like that's nowhere near as hard as Chris Rock could have gone. And if Chris Rock actually had that kind of a friendship with them, but he's also putting up a show, like there should be some kind of an understanding, right? You know?
Yeah, no, it's just really stupid. Like he shouldn't be anywhere. You know what? I'd rather have Jared Leto in a movie than Will Smith.
Yeah.
And we got that because he's in He-Man and he's the best part of He-Man. Like Jared Leto is having a more favorable influence on things than Will Smith, at least in movies, right? Because online, Will Smith apparently he still has like his YouTube channel and stuff like that. He's making shitty ass music, but he's making music, and apparently some people like it. But yeah, in movies, I feel like Will Smith is poison. And after the Oscar, like there's no coming back from that. And Jared Leto has a cult.
I don't know if I would say Jared Leto has much of an upward trajectory because it's not because it's not like Masters of the Universe didn't really Masters of the Universe like apparently did not do well financially at all.
No, but the thing is, whoever watches it they find him as like the most enjoyable part of the movie. Whoever watched like Suicide Squad or like whatever other like Will Smith movies that people even watch, Gemini Man, I think they never say, wow, Will Smith, it's like he's doing the same thing he has been doing for like 2 fucking decades. He cannot let go of the past. He's not that great of an actor if it's like an action role because It's like he leaves that for his drama movies, and then for action he just plays himself or like his image that we have of him. But yeah, no, I mean, I'm not saying Jared Leto has an upwards trajectory. I'm just saying, as rocky as it is, I feel like it's still better than Will Smith. If I see Will Smith in something, I will actively not watch it.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
No.
But I guess, yeah. I guess like sort of Will Smith tangent aside, yeah, it's a yeah. I mean, like I guess like he probably was still like enough of a draw to where like if Independence Day 2 did have him at that time, like it probably could have done better, perhaps.
It would have done a little better, yeah. Nostalgia mostly.
But I don't think it would have. I don't think it would not have made made the numbers that the first movie made. Like I still like we probably still would have gotten Independence Day 3, perhaps. So maybe Will Smith. So I probably could have like honestly like if Roland Emmerich pretty much like even just admitting to like Independence Day 2 didn't turn out that well because Will Smith wasn't in it. It's like it didn't make financially speaking, sure, but I think there's more going on to it than that because quite frankly, Roland Emmerich is not a good enough. Roland Emmerich is just not a good storyteller when you get right down to it. He just got lucky a few times, essentially.
He made something that was bombastic enough that it stuck with Independence Day.
Yeah, I mean, like Independence Day, even Independence Day, the first Independence Day actually has some solid writing in it. Like at points, like it's not like it's not that badly. It's not even that bad of a script. Like a lot of people make it out to be. Like there's definitely things wrong with it. Like there's flaws in it, but it's nothing compared to what he did in '98 or what he did after 2000 after he made. Like The Patriot was honestly like probably Roland Emmerich's last like decent to good movie, quite frankly, and that was 2000. Like so, he just. If I'm being honest,
I'm thinking maybe he's aware of his image, so like he assumed that he needed Will Smith to have the movie be successful, and that's why he said what he said in that like article that you read. As it's like some form of insecurity or something. Maybe that's why he decides to blame it on, we didn't have Will instead of blaming it on himself. Maybe, I don't know, like, but that's a possibility.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, like, it certainly doesn't help that this movie had like 5 writers, Roland Emmerich and Dean Devlin included. But who knows how much of who even knows how much of like even Devlin's like involvement in that script like sort of like was left over because that could have been like because if he rewrote it then that could have just been like if it was like rewritten because they couldn't get Will Smith they could have like then it could have been like a bunch of the other guys but I don't know it kind of sounds like a bit of like a Dark Universe Mummy type scenario where it's just like it's like who do we blame the shortcomings of the script for? Just like how many writers are there? Oh Jesus Christ, that many? Yeah, I don't know if we could even possibly be able to narrow down like who's responsible for what worked and what didn't work in that. In the case of Resurgence, it's like I mean like in the case of Emmerich. I'll be like with movies like Day After Tomorrow, 2012, 10,000 BC, White House Down, all those movies before that. I honestly think like it and even stuff afterwards, especially Moonfall. After I think there's definitely a lot that can be pointed towards like how this was just a bad idea from the get-go that should have just never been entertained.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Like when you said who do we blame, I think that even the writers of like the final script might not have anything to do with just what you just said, which is like the idea from the beginning was bad. And it's like, okay, so who came up with the idea? Yeah, we could ask if it was one of the screenwriters or whatever, but I think that it could also have come from the producers.
Yeah, true.
Like, we just, and that circles back to the mentality I told you of maintaining status quo. We cannot really change Independence Day. We can only make it bigger and better. So, you just tell a writer to do that, and it's like, okay, yeah, but
Yeah, I mean, like
How?
we could have the world building have it be so that humanity has better technology than they had previously because they've reverse engineered the aliens' technology, but we're still
Yeah.
gonna have it. We're gonna still have events play out as if we're the underdogs again, as opposed to having it be more of a balanced fight, essentially.
Mhm.
Like even though like the balanced fight could have been a lot more interesting if if we're gonna have this to where this sequel is meant to like lead us into the universe expanding and there would just be like an interstellar war, that would eventually happen. We could have had like they could have just done something like that as opposed to just having humanity get trounced yet again.
Yeah, like if I'm just like thinking about something random in like 5 seconds, use the technology so we can develop bases on the moon, and once
Yeah.
we're there, we find out that the aliens had some like secret bases in the moon, and you could have like a horror movie because there's like a couple of aliens that after the attack got like stranded there, right? So you have this colony, these people who have technology, they have like weapons and all of that, but they're not prepared to like actually fight with some of these aliens. And you could, I don't know, have like them trying to reach back to the planet, right? Like the aliens are trying to reach back and saying, "Hey, they found the base. Come back. We need to like do something." Like, I don't know, and you're trying to like prevent them from reaching back because now that they have our technology that we have reverse engineered, they can actually contact back to their planet, right?
Yeah.
They didn't have enough or whatever happened, or they just weren't prepared to in case of being stranded. So now that we're in the moon, they can actually use our reverse engineer resources to go back to our planet. And like, I don't know, you could do something like that. And you're setting up a sequel where you actually get the second wave of the invasion, and the aliens are already aware that we have their technology. They are already aware that we're starting to go into other like planets. I don't know. You could do whatever, like, but that's just an idea. See, you don't need to do the same thing again. You are in the universe. You can actually do something with like weapons and action and stuff like that. You can change
Yeah.
the genre if you want to. Like you don't need to make that thing that I mentioned horror. You can still make it action with some
Yeah.
comedy or whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of like
And yeah,
it's kind of what I mentioned earlier in the stream, where this is like, like Hoshi was here earlier, and I pretty much mentioned this to him.
mhm.
It's like this is pretty much like what the Force Awakens was actually is, but it's like so much more obvious about it in terms of they reset the stat. Like, okay, sure, it's set decades after the first movie, and there may be some indications of that being the case, but it's just like so offhanded, and then by that point, and then at some point it pretty much just doesn't really matter because we're just resetting it back to the status quo, but it now makes even less sense than what we had the last time. Because the last time it's like we didn't have there wasn't a status quo that we could go back to. It was just like the first movie is like here's what's going on. Here's the aliens. Here's Earth. Um, Aliens are definitely gonna have the upper hand here. Humanity's gonna has to figure out how to fight back with ingenuity and and essentially and believe in the best of themselves essentially to do it to in order to win. Whereas the sequel, it's like we've already beaten the aliens. We have the technology. We're pretty much even much better off than we were before. But now we just have it to where, okay, the aliens have even bigger technology, but we don't even. It's like they are so like they trounce us so badly that's just like, what was even the point of all that world building if you're just gonna have it to where you're just doing the first movie again, except you just make it work, except worse in every possible way. But yeah,
Sorry, I was muted. You could even have the aliens have technology that's not the typical pew pew
yeah,
laser ships and stuff like that. Like, I don't know, they control space, or I don't know, like, so if you have like a super weapon that you're trying to use, they can like redirect you or like make you shoot something else. Like, I don't know, like
maybe.
portals. portals or whatever, anything. You could just get creative, and they develop something that we cannot fight with just pew pew guns, planes, and tanks.
Yeah, and that's why we would need the sphere to like develop our technology to combat against that. It's like it's all like escalation essentially. We have to like figure out how to do all that. I mean, granted, some people could argue that sounds a bit too anime-like, but it's like, but depending on how you do it, it could be done pretty well. But yeah,
and also, you said that they have a kaiju in this movie.
The alien queen is basically a kaiju.
And does she fight in the movie?
She didn't. Like well, technically, she fights off some jets and she chases a school bus with Jeff Goldblum and Judd Hirsch and a bunch of kids.
They did 98 again.
They did that. Yeah, I know, right? They did 98. I know. It's like we can never get away from. We'll never escape it. It will never leave. It won't let us. It's like Event Horizon. She will not. She won't let. She won't. You can't leave. She won't let you leave.
So no one fights the queen one-on-one, technically, right?
Not real. No, not really. Unless you want to count Micah Monroe when she's able to take down her shield, but even then, it's like she gets swatted down by by one of the queen's tentacles right afterwards.
The queen has a shield too, like the ship in the first movie. The queen has like her own shield.
Yeah, she has her own shield. In fact, okay, all right. So I gotta go over this. All right, so in fact, Bill Pullman tries to sacrifice himself by using a cold fusion bomb to kill the queen because they think, if we kill the queen. Because they figured out if they kill the queen, they can stop the invasion and stop the drilling to the Earth's core and yada, yada, yada. He sacrifices himself to try to blow up the queen, and it turns out the queen has her own shield and she survived it A-OK. So Bill Pullman kills himself for no good reason.
So it's Skull Island with 98 and Independence Day.
Yeah, well, I mean, this movie preceded Skull Island pretty much.
Okay, then. But it's not even as funny because she doesn't like. Boop. She just like has a shield. So actually, Skull Island is still like the superior.
Yeah, they wanted to make us believe that he actually did it at first, but it's like a false sense of hope. It's like, yay.
So in a way, even if you go anime, they're already going into the Japanese kaiju route. In a way, if you look at it that way, So anime wouldn't even be that bad.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know if I don't think I got anything else to say that I feel like I need to say about it. I would be curious to see what if there's any like essay videos out there on this movie, what they would say, because I would almost be tempted to do one on my own. It's just a matter of like whether or not I have to see like what I'll be bringing to the table that no one else has done already. That's kind of the thing. But
by the way, since you mentioned that you were going to watch Evil Dead Burn, I think you said tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Okay, you had asked me how it was. Do you want? Since you said that we were like already going to wrap this up, do you want me to like give you like a quick non-spoiler, like whatever, so you know what to expect?
Just a super quick blurb.
Okay,
spoiler free.
Because literally, like I'm writing right now, like a video, like the script for a video that I'm going to make on it. It's good, but also if you were expecting certain things after Evil Dead Rise, it's kind of disappointing. It feels like going back to the same old, but still good. Like it's not a bad movie. If anything, I think that Evil Dead is one of the best horror franchises because it's just like straight up making good stuff. Even if you think that the movies could be better, that doesn't mean that they're bad. And this is another good movie in the Evil Dead franchise. So
Yeah, I mean that's kind
You,
of
you
that
like
kind of
it.
sounds more or less what I've been hearing about it. Even if it,
Mhm.
yeah, especially the fact that it's like, it's not as good as Rise. I was be like, all right, well,
I would say it's so. So the thing is, and again, I'm not going to spoil it, so don't worry. This movie is better than Rise because, at least to me, it's not as enjoyable. Which it's I know it sounds weird, but because it's a horror movie, sometimes you're not supposed to enjoy horror. Like
mm,
this movie wasn't like it's hard to watch. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right? Like it's not entertaining. It's
mm,
horrifying. Like that's kind of the point, right?
yeah,
Uh, but these other two guys, like they are fun to watch, but they're still cool movies. Like it doesn't make it worse. The thing is with Evil Dead Burn, it's one of those. It's like this. It's hard to watch. You're not going to enjoy it as much as Evil Dead Rise necessarily, but as a
mm,
horror movie that's like doing something that's like fucked up, it's actually I think the best movie in the entire franchise. Straight up. Like the
mm,
remake talks about like addiction, but it doesn't really talk about addiction, right?
mm.
This one has a bunch of. Have you seen the trailers?
I've only seen like one trailer. It was like a Red
The
Band
sneak ones.
trailer, but
Then I'm not going to spoil it, but it talks about something that's very real. Actually, it doesn't talk about it. It uses. I feel like it's using the imagery of something that's really fucked up in real life,
mm,
and that's like one sequence in the movie, but it's so fucked up how well it reflects that real life stuff
mm,
that I feel like it has one of the most disturbing sequences in the whole franchise.
ah, all right. I mean,
And it's intense like that's why it's just so good. It's not just conceptually it's good, it's also like the execution is good. Like it's also
ah,
it can be frustrating to watch, but it doesn't take away from how good and well executed it is. And I was disappointed at first. I was like, dude, that's kind of like wasting potential. And then as I was writing the script, I realized actually, no, this works perfectly for what they were trying
mm,
to do. But yeah, it's a little bit hard to watch. So
mm.
it's not one of the most rewatchable movies in the franchise, but it's probably going to be one of the most unique ones, I guess.
I take it that it's at least better than Lee Cronin's The Mummy.
I mean, maybe, maybe.
Uh,
Depends on who you are, I guess.
I
But yeah,
guess. Hmm. But yeah, I mean, I guess that'll just sort of like lead us into the wrap ups here. Yeah, Independence Day Resurgence, pretty bad, like quite bad actually. It's kind of like yeah, it's definitely like one of those sequels that it's like especially when you try to build up a franchise. I mean, like, and I've even compared it to Star Wars somewhat. It's like if you were to try to have it be like a sequel, try to build off like it's like what would happen if like someone tried to make Empire Strikes Back 20 years after after A New Hope, but just like sort of repeat A New Hope essentially. So it just kind of be more like Return of the Jedi or Force Awakens, even. But you know, and it's like instead of having like a big thing of like it's a big no, I am your father type moment like what Empire had. Instead, it's just more of like a no, don't watch this movie. More than anything. But yeah, yeah. Hopefully, yeah, I'm sure that hopefully at least that Evil Dead Burn will be a better sequel. Then who knows? It might even be a better sequel to Independence Day than Resurgence. I don't know. Could be.
yeah, no,
Because fuck
it's
it,
going
why
to do
not?
some things that are really nice.
Yeah.
And also it does a lot of setup for the future. Like, yeah,
Ooh.
it's nice. You like it,
Okay.
probably. I don't know
Maybe.
how much you like it. I don't know if it's going to be your favorite, but yeah, don't worry. Like, you're not going to leave the cinema and be like depressed or anything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going into it
I mean,
dreading it at this point.
You will be depressed, but in the good way, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to be fair, Evil Dead Rise kind of like, it was kind of a lot like that because like you had like some genuinely decent people who were just like thrust into who were just made into these horrible monsters that had to be like mutilated and cut up into millions of pieces.
Yeah, but this.
So I think I'll be sounds like
Yeah.
it will just be more or less the same as that. Whether or not it's as good as that, it's just like, I mean, I'll have to see for myself then. But yeah. Anyways, that will pretty much close out episode 70 of Sea Monster Live. We've just been talking about Independence Day Resurgence. I mean, we went in tangents about some other things, but we mainly talked about Independence Day too. But thanks to Hoshi for coming on, and thank you, Lau, for coming on as well. And anybody else listening here, I suppose you kind of like maybe showed a little bit that you might be working on something for Evil Dead Burn.
Serena, you.
Oh God!
I pronounce her name Serena. Serena.
For Evil in '98. Yeah. Yeah. But
98 is an evil movie. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, where can people find you, Lau? In case.
Well, I am here on YouTube with the same name that you're seeing on screen. It's literally written the same way, and I draw, right? But what I'm trying to do with my channel is also like I do some. I don't know if it's technically creative writing, but I talk about like stories that I want to make, characters. I just literally designed a kaiju from scratch. Throughout 3 streams, you can see me like come up with the ideas. You can see like the whole fucking creative process. So if you don't know how to do those kind of things, you can see me do it. I talk about the conception, the inspiration, how you develop the design, the anatomy, because then I come with the initial idea and then I develop it and I do like the head and torso, and then on the 3rd stream I show how the extremities for my kaiju work, because I need him to do very specific things. And then I think also I made a stream for thumbnailing, because I'm going to make a final illustration for that. That's like the culmination of everything. I'm going to do it in video format. But before I get to that point, I think I'm just going to make this Evil Dead Burn video that I'm like literally planning right now. I will try to record it today and have it tomorrow if I'm lucky. So yeah, I'm trying to do streams, but I'm also going to do some videos, and you can just come whenever to talk about like creature design or like illustration as a whole. I'm not like a professional, so I feel like it's easier for people to see what I do and not feel like it's like this unreachable fucking thing. Yeah, that's kind of it. Also, I'm on X, same name. I'm on Instagram with the same name. That's kind of it. Yeah.
Well, and obviously this is the Sea Monster Essays here. Obviously, I'm here on YouTube, putting out, doing videos and live streams. Still working on my Transformers Dark of the Moon video. It's still gonna take still taking quite a bit of time, but definitely hopefully I'll get it out pretty soon. Essentially.
How long do you think it's going to be? Like,
oh god, at this point, I think it'll be at least like as long as my GXK New Empire essay video. Probably longer at this point. Like it's definitely on track.
Yeah,
to be around that length.
I mean, yeah, like it's the 3rd movie, right? Like, so it makes sense also that you probably would have to use some time for like context.
Yeah, exact. Yeah, that's exact. Yeah, there's a lot of context I want to like provide into it, and there's also like a section where I'm like responding to points from other videos. So,
Mm-hmm.
so it's not like it will be. So that's definitely will. That's definitely a chunk of time there. But yeah, stay tuned for any updates on how that goes. Stay tuned for any updates on when my next stream will be, which could be at some point at the end of this month, because I didn't do a stream in June. I said I would make up for that. So we'll see what happens. But we'll see what happens there. Follow me on Twitter, Sea Monster, pretty much. And I am aware of that second teaser for -0, which kind of gives us a little bit more detail about what may go on. But I definitely do appreciate like how those teasers aren't really giving away anything. So
I'm so anxious for that movie. Like,
yeah. I am curious to like see like I hear people say like, oh, it's such a shame that Yamazaki isn't doing a trilogy with this, and I just sit there going like just be like, if this is gonna be if this is the only sequel that we're getting to -1, and that's the end of a duology, and it turns out to be good, just be glad that you have it.
Yeah, if it's good, then who gives a shit how much you get? I'd rather have it be 2 than 3, and then the third one is like The Dark Knight Rises, which is not bad, but it's still disappointing. Like you go from that high from The Dark Knight, and then you have to go to the worst one being the third one. Is like the worst possible thing that can happen.
Yeah,
I think. Even if the third one is still technically good, it's just like if you have a high, just leave it at there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm so worried that the movie might be like bad or something.
Yeah.
I don't have reasons to think that, but worried.
Yeah. But aside from like the Dark Moon video, what have you? I mean, I have some other projects that I'm hoping to have done later to do later this year. Including a One Monstrous Moment one, which I'm kind of like readjusting a bit in terms of what I want that one to be about. But because the Dark Moon video is real, it has genuinely been sort of like the main thing that I've been working on. It's my the big project. Like I've just had next to no time for anything else, any other projects. So. And plus things outside of YouTube, just kind of like eating up time as well. So it's like, but so much to do, so little time. It's just like, what's the guy to do, really? But yeah, stay tuned for anything else. But until next time, folks. Thank y'all for stopping by for the big 7-0 of Sea Monster Live. Catch you all later. Peace.
Bye.